I'm Kat Lee, as most of you know, and this is my senior project. So, first things first, I have two passions in life. I put these passions at the same level as, music, piano, cats. The first of these passions is teaching. I really enjoy teaching, and I'll elaborate on that later. And then the second one is service. So, for teaching, I actually started when I was in preschool, and there's this little question that teachers asked me, and they're like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I said, I want to be a teacher, because I like teaching. I was a very reasonable little kid. And so my first actual teaching experience was actually in 6th grade, where I was a part of this band of children who went over to West Intermediate as 6th graders to learn pre-algebra. So I would do a little peer tutoring. I'd be on the phone. This is back when we had corded phones, actually, and then I just walk my peers through on pre-algebra stuff. And I liked it so much that I eventually went to Beijing, a Beijing migrant school, in the summer of my sophomore year to teach English as a second language. And so now I'm a private piano tutor. That's actually one of my occupations right now. I teach this little second-year-old girl piano once every week. And I'm also in NHS peer tutoring. Something I learned a lot from teaching, what I enjoy about teaching is that it's a mutually beneficial relationship. Of course, your 2D learns something from you. They learn how to be. They improve on their academics. They improve on their social skills. But for you yourself, you have to be familiar with what you're teaching before you can teach somebody. There's this quote that says, "To teach is to learn twice." And for me, it's really fun because it's like a puzzle. Not everybody is the same, and I find that everybody learns in a different way. And it's really, to me, it's a challenge to see which way is the easiest for people to learn new things. Now, second passion is service. And of course, service was really enhanced by Key Club, by joining Key Club in my high school year. Service, whenever I do service, it gives me this warm feeling in my heart. I love helping people, especially if I'm using some of my skills that I'm very good at. So for example, if I would go to the nursing homes to play some piano, and then people would enjoy it, and I would feel like I'm doing something good in the world, and my skills are not being wasted, per se. So keeping these two considerations in mind, these two passions in mind, these are some personal observations I've made throughout my high school years. I've observed that my classmates, as I went through from elementary school to high school, I've observed that people who tend to struggle with, let's say, reading or math skills in elementary school, these problems tend to stick with them until high school if they are left unaddressed. And additionally, teachers often do not have the time to address these problems individually. This is especially true when you get to middle school and when you get to high school, when teachers start having several hundred students come to them, and they don't have enough time to individually address these problems so that they won't become obstacles in the future. And finally, as I mentioned before, helping a fellow classmate also helps one understand the material better, and this is especially evident when I was tutoring pre-algebra. I had to know what pre-algebra, what the concepts were better than the 2D I was teaching. So that led me to the big question. I combined these two of my passions and those observations to come to the big question: how can cross-age tutoring benefit the school community? So I did a little research into cross-age tutoring. Before I dive into this, cross-age tutoring is basically where older students are the tutors and younger students are the tutees, and you basically help these students succeed in their academics. So I did a little bit of research, and the benefits of cross-age tutoring tutoring are actually quite well documented. It provides academic and social benefits to all of the parties involved. So as I mentioned before, it's a mutualistic relationship. Let's see. So this works a little differently than the usual teacher-student relationship, because there is more of a casual relationship between tutors and the tutees. It's kind of like a big brother, big sister relationship. The student that you're tutoring actually feels a little more comfortable with you, so they're more willing to take intellectual risks. They're more willing to ask questions. And additionally, cross-age tutoring is cost-effective. It's easy to implement because all of your resources are already here in the district. And it's just a matter of finding volunteers and finding maybe that little cost it takes to keep a teacher there supervising. And of course, there's a huge potential for growth, which I will touch on later. So some of the potential obstacles I saw when I was starting this program one of them was communication. Communication is key because you have to keep in touch with the parents, the teachers, the administrators, and finally your students and your tutors. And this means lots of phone calls, lots of emails, and lots of texts. And I've saved about 17 emails that I've sent out in the past couple of weeks. Another one is scheduling, because high schoolers and elementary students don't have the same schedule, and you have to factor in the teachers' schedules and the parents' schedules as well. That was also a potential obstacle. And finally, you have the tutor and tutee relationships because these tutors, they're high schoolers. They're just like us. They're not necessarily as professional as a teacher would be. So when there's conflict, when there's frustration expressed on a tutee end, there might be some difficulty and some negative feelings when things don't go as smoothly. So I used a couple of model programs when I was establishing this cross-stage tutoring program, and one of them was the GIVE program. And that was situated in Washington, D.C. It was organized by high schoolers and started out with just 12 tutees per session. And it was provided one-on-one mentoring, and it also involved 1,000, eventually grew to involve 1,000 volunteers, and it became a cross-age tutoring program across the entire North Carolina district. And I thought it was quite amazing that this was started by high schoolers, and it grew to be this massive tutoring program that gave a lot of help to elementary students. And secondly, and yes, this is a TED Talk, this is Dave Eggers and his Once Upon a School program, and basically it was situated in San Francisco, California, and this is run by adult professionals and mentoring students. And students of all abilities attend. There's no stigma at all. You can be a really high-achieving student and still go to this. Basically, what Dave Eggers did was he established a tutoring program in the back of a printing factory, or not a factory, but just a writing office. And eventually, students started to come, and let me see if I can get the video up. I thought it was really. Let's see. Oh, it's over. Okay, so I thought that it was really inspirational in that eventually it grew to involve students in writing a book. So an author said, hey, why don't you get these high schoolers to write something that I can publish in a book? And I thought that's what we were aiming for when we were tutoring. Not only do you help people with their homework, but you also inspire kids to do something more. So this is just a quick excerpt.
Writer's room where we decorated it in Buccaneer style. It's right off the library, and then we served all 529 kids in this middle school. This is their newspaper, the Straight Up News. It has an ongoing column from Mayor Gavin Newsom in both languages, English and Spanish. So then, one day Isabel Allende wrote to us and said, hey, why don't you assign a book with high school students? I want them to write about how to achieve peace in a violent world. And so we went into Thurgood Marshall High School, which is a school that we had worked with on some other things. And we gave that assignment to the students. We said, Isabel Allende is going to read all your essays at the end. She's going to publish them in a book. She's going to sponsor the printing of this book in paperback form. It's going to be available in all the bookstores in the Bay Area and throughout the world on Amazon and you name it. So these kids worked harder than they've ever worked on anything in their lives because there was that outside audience. There was Isabel Allende on the other end. There were, I think we had about 170 tutors that worked on this book with them. And so this worked out incredibly well. We had a big party at the end. This is a book that you can find anywhere. So that led to a series of these. You can see Amy Tan sponsored the next one, A Night in Somewhere. And this became an ongoing thing, more and more books. Now, and we're sort of addicted to the book thing. The kids will work harder than they've ever worked in their life if they know it's going to be permanent, not know it's going to be on a shelf, know that nobody can diminish what they've thought and said, that we've honored their words, honored their thoughts with hundreds of hours of 5 drafts, 6 drafts, all this attention that we give to their thoughts. And once they achieve that level, once they've written at that level, they can never go back. It's absolutely transformative. So.
Okay, so that's just a little excerpt, and I thought that was what we were aiming for in cross-age tutoring. So, thank you. So then, here's my program setup. It ran from April 16th to May 28th, and of course this involved, so first I emailed the principals of 2 schools, Vowels and Fancher, and for my tutors, I consulted the National Honor Society students, the Key Club students, and also pre-teaching students. I was not able to get any tutors from pre-teaching, but I would like to in the future, just because I think this is good training for anybody going into pre-teaching. Most of my volunteers came from National Honor Society and Key Club, and of course for the 2 Ts, my target age group was elementary students. So I ran 2 programs. One was a pilot program in Vowels Elementary, where we had one-on-one tutoring. This would be Mondays and Wednesdays from 4 to 5 p.m. And unfortunately, we didn't, because we started so late in the year, we could only get 3 students involved, three students that teachers thought would need help. But it was still pretty good for the most part. We were able to supply the tutors, and the 2Ds were able to get help. For Fancher Elementary, they already had a pre-existing at-risk homework lab program that we could help at. This would be a huge classroom full of kids who are considered at risk or kind of probable that it's kind of, when they say that a kid is at risk, it means that they are more likely to drop out or not do as well in school. So at this at-risk homework lab, it would just be run by one teacher, Mr. Graham. So we would go in on Mondays and Wednesdays and help out and provide more of a one-on-one tutoring experience. Attendance varied. Right now it's kind of dropping off just because it's the end of the year, but at the beginning we did have quite a few people come. So some of our duties was to assist with homework, obviously, and make sure kids are not lying when they say they don't have any homework, because we've had that problem before. And of course, we want to help them expand their knowledge. So if a kid says, oh, I'm already done, we have to encourage them to read a book or even work ahead on their classes. So some results and feedback, you can see there were lots of photos I took. These kids are really cute, so I don't mind taking photos of them. So from the tutors, I've sent out a survey, a questionnaire to all of the tutors. And the main consensus is that tutoring these children helps them improve their communication with children of that age. And mainly, a lot of people liked making these kids stay. They felt that that this volunteer experience was worth it. And I also asked the administrators for their feedback, and both agree on cross-age tutoring as an excellent program for both tutors and 2Ds. So Ms. Boyd at Fancher Elementary said that tutoring is considered a highly effective intervention for students. And Ms. Bishop mentions that it provides extra support for the students, both the students and the tutors coming in, because it gives high schoolers an opportunity to experience those work-related skills, coming in on time, letting people know when you can't come in. So some improvements that could have been made was, obviously we could have started sooner. I emailed the principals in late March, and that only gave us about a month to work this in, so we couldn't really see much of, it's not enough time for you to see much of a benefit from cross-age tutorings, but I do think that we did make a difference. So next year, perhaps we could start a bit sooner in the fall, maybe. We could also get more schools involved. There's Mary McGuire, there's a lot of more elementary schools this can be implemented in, obviously. And additionally, I would love to implement some training and reflection sessions between the tutors and the receiving teachers, just so that the tutors can know what exactly these kids need to work on, so that each tutoring session is beneficial and really efficient. And personally, these are just some of my personal feedback. I learned a lot about how children think. When you grow up to this age, you tend to forget how you thought when you were a little kid. And when you're little, your thoughts are a lot more simple. And sometimes it's kind of like a puzzle for me. I have to figure out, how can I explain this complicated concept simply so that this kid can understand what I'm trying to say? And sometimes you need to use incentives, so I use Snapchat. I would say, sometimes these kids would be so antsy that they didn't want to get their homework done. I said, okay, look, you have 15 minutes. If you work for every single one of those 15 minutes, you'll be able to Snapchat with me. Now for us, Snapchat is kind of a 10-second deal, right? 10 seconds and it's gone. But to these kids, their eyes lit up when I said, oh, will you Snapchat with me? So here's an example of a Snapchat I took on Tuesday. So Snapchat, Flappy Bird, it's bribery, but it works. So, tutoring is rewarding in that you know that somebody is looking up to you. I can't number the days that, the times my day was made, just because a little girl would pull me aside and say, hey, Kat, can you help me with my spelling today? And then this little boy would be pulling my other arm, and he'd say, no, she's helping me with math. These kids make my day, and I think that we make their days as well, by being kind and just by being there to teach them. And also communication is key. I did have some problems with communication. There's some loss in communication, but when you have to go through administration to get to the teachers, or when you have to go through administration and get to the parents, there's always a loss of communication. So for me, that means I should be a little more organized with communication. Even sometimes that did cause some problems for us in the tutoring program, in which a tutor would not show up, and there would be some conflicts between the parents and the teachers. So, yeah, I just want to share a couple moments very quickly. This is a little boy in tutoring, and this is where I taught him the area of triangles before his class, and he was incredibly proud of this sheet of paper. He told me in the next tutoring session, he's like, Kat, I lost my notes, and now I'm really sad, because this is pride and joy for that one day. And this is a story I helped a little girl write when she finished her homework. It's about 3 squirrels and one of them getting eaten by Swiper the owl. And next is a video of her reading it.
The squirrels agreed, and they eagerly ran outside to play. They swamped joyfully on the branches of the elm trees and scampered up and down rugged chunks.
Do you want me to help you? In an intense
game of tag. Duncan soon grew tired. However, he fell behind his brothers and sisters to look for answers. As soon as he got his berries, he ate them all up and fell asleep on Swiper's doorway. When Swiper went out to get his mail, he saw Nutkin. He said, French squirrel souffle. I better cook him up for dinner. As soon as
Some more with the kids.
Yeah. So what now? The cross-age tutoring will continue in Dallas and Fancher as a part of National Honor Society, and this will be under the direction of Miss Eva Anderson. So this cross-age tutoring, the program is not a one-hit thing. I hope it will continue throughout the years. And yeah, that is my presentation. I thank you for listening.